everybody. Welcome to the Late Horror Show with me, Dino, and that Ted. Yeah. And if you didn't see our last show, The Fly, go back and check it out because that show was one of our best in a long time. It was good.
And there was like 120 of you that watched it, so bless your hearts.
Yeah, so go check it out.
As you can see, we're really skyrocketing, and we are the #1 horror podcast this time, this slot.
Yeah.
So
this slut.
The slut.
But be sure to subscribe if you're a first time here.
Smash that button.
Hit that bell notification so you're notified
please.
Every time we, because, you sit there and go, wow, we've just went over 5,000 subscribers. And our last video got 129 views so far.
Yeah, there we go.
YouTube
it just goes to
sucks.
Just goes to show.
Anyways,
how good we are.
We should move to Facebook.
We can get that many subscribers without anybody watching.
We should move to Facebook. But let's get to the shit.
Yeah, let's get in that Wayback Machine.
Let's get to the great movie that was The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978.
Yes. My favorite one of the four that they've done.
My favorite one, too. And
we have Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956, this one. Body Snatchers, 1993, a really good one. Mm-hmm. And then The Invasion with Nicole Kidman and Daniel Craig, 2007, which I didn't hate either.
I didn't see that one.
A Nicole Kidman movie you didn't see?
Right? I didn't see it.
Well, you need to see it. It's not bad. It's more of this. If you like,
I hate hearing it's not bad.
Well, because it got such bad mouth, bad box office. So what I'm saying is, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's my least favorite out of all of them. But that's because I just feel like it didn't bring anything new to the table. Whereas all of these seem to be kind of generational. Like each generation sort of gets there, and I feel bad for the generation that has The Invasion. But
it spawned off a lot of... it's influenced, I think, a lot of movies.
Oh, Christ.
Since.
Look at Carpenter's The Thing. There's
there's
another one right there. And any film where, people are being taken over by something else and they look the same, it all goes back to that original novella, which was serialized back in the day. Yeah. Remember when novels were serialized in magazines?
Right.
Jack Finney, The Body Snatchers, which I have at home.
Right.
It's a good book. It's a quick read. And so this is the second readaptation. It's not a remake. It's a readaptation of Jack Finney's book.
Yeah. And it stars Donald Sutherland.
It was pretty good-sized star at that time. The great
Donald Sutherland. Yeah, during this period.
This was his period.
He did a lot of good shit. I mean, still does stuff now, but...
I think he did an orange juice commercial not too long ago. I'm watching it going, God, that's Donald Sutherland.
What the hell he doing? But this is his period, man. And Jeff Goldblum.
Early film of his.
Before The Fly, a skinnier Jeff Goldblum.
After Death Wish.
Yeah. But still a good character in this movie.
Veronica Cartwright, who was in Alien.
Yes.
And Leonard Nimoy trying to break out of the mold of science fiction. Still in a science fiction film, but trying to break out of that type of character.
Yeah, plays a doctor, a psychiatrist in here, a famous one.
And he's pretty good. But I'll tell you, anytime I see Leonard Nimoy in anything that's not it is so damn hard to watch him in anything else. It's hard to see him not...
Talk about being typecast.
It's like David Duchovny. You will always see him as Fox Mulder.
I think Leonard Nimoy even more so, because when you put him in that character with the pointy ears, the little bit of makeup and that haircut, you can't escape that. Right. You know what I mean?
James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano. Some of them get upset about that, being typecast.
But Leonard Nimoy, I think, not until his later days in his career,
really embraced it,
is when he embraced it and said, "Hey," which is
obviously
a shame.
I did something great that people love and remember."
Which is a shame though, because he had some, ill will towards the character probably for some time. And decades probably.
Well, there was some talk of him not wanting to come back for the film, the first motion picture film, which I think also came out that same year, 78, 79.
I think so.
Because it's just having its 40th anniversary.
Right. 79.
And I'm on the record as saying Star Trek: The Motion Picture is my favorite out of all the Star Trek movies. It's the most...
Better than Wrath of Khan?
Yes. Because Star Trek: The Motion Picture, we're going off on a tangent. This is what we do.
I know we're all over the place. We'll get to Invasion of Body Snatchers.
Star Trek-ish of all the films. The others are action movies.
True.
If you go back to the original series, that first movie is the most like the original series.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
And
I can see
and it's epic
where you're
in
coming
scope.
from. Yeah.
And I remember going to see it with my mom and dad and just seeing it on the... And I think even McDonald's had the Happy Meals. Yeah. Star Trek: The Motion Picture Happy Meals. It was a huge deal. It was the most expensive movie at the time when it first came out. Heck I remember.
Yeah. No, so, and I take nothing from it being, I love all... Hey, I'm a Star Trek fanatic. I'm a Next Generation fan, big time. Or of course the originals and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, getting back to this.
But Leonard Nimoy, in a nice departure from Star Trek's in this film.
Yes. And Brooke Adams, who plays Elizabeth Driscoll, is in this. And, she's been known for some things. You know what we know her from?
Tell me.
The Stuff.
The
commercial in The Stuff. Where she's holding that little commercial, that's her. So that's her in there. But you know what? She also reminds me of Jessica Harper
from Suspiria, Phantom of the Paradise.
Yes,
we got to do Phantom of the Paradise.
Sure.
Next week.
Sure.
It's all settled.
There you go. But yeah, no.
And everybody's top notch in this movie. Everybody does a really great job, and there's lots of interesting cameos in the movie too.
Yep.
Some of them are uncredited. Most of them are uncredited, I think. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's fantastic, and the effects, are just
all in camera and really cool.
Unbelievable. With that hair cobwebby type stuff, going over the body and stuff. It's just amazing. But it starts right out.
Well, I mean, basically, if you know anything about the Invasion of the Body Snatchers, basically it's about aliens coming to Earth and taking over,
floating from their dying planet.
That's how this film starts.
Through space. Yes, this film. Through space, hitting planets, falling down
and taking over the populace
and adapting
and this film, which is really cool, it really grabs you at the beginning because it starts off on some barren planet, their home world that's dying.
Very cool. And opening scene.
These little ectoplasmic things that just kind of float through space,
cotton candy-ish
and
amoeba.
They achieved that effect with just some shit they bought at an art store and did it through it. Probably sort of like how Kubrick did some of the special effects scenes in the Stargate with 2001. Sort of like that. And, run the camera backwards to get that effect. And, it's just a really neat effect of this ectoplasm floating through space to Earth. And then it's raining and you see all this slimy sludge all over the plants.
What's funny about that is that I'm not sure if that's what influenced that part of this picture, but there's real life accounts of it raining like a gelatinous type jelly type substance, and in the beginning scenes when it rains down
it's
like that, you see it on the leaves and the branches and stuff, and it plops down. No joke, Ted. I mean, all over the world.
I know some people that I'd swear to God are pod people. So,
all joking aside, there are instances, where it has rained this type of stuff, and scientists have no idea what it's from. Just gets you thinking a bit. Not that there's
some real neat effects of. The beginnings of them assimilating the plant life.
Yes.
The little tendrils coming out on just these leaves on plants and bushes.
Like a mini pod, that cactus type pod that blooms like this little pretty little flower.
And just little tendrils coming out, and it's a real neat effect. It's a real cool way to start the movie. And another difference between this one and the predecessor, which was about 22 years before, was that took place in like a smaller community, suburb, small town. Yeah. And this one is in San Francisco, a big city.
Big city.
How does it change things now that, this is all happening in a big city where nobody knows anybody and, then you're going to start seeing those changes as people start getting taken over.
Yeah. Easier to take over the world.
Yeah, I guess.
Ports and everything.
The characters that we have in this film, even though the main character that Donald Sutherland plays still has the same last name as, I think, Kevin McCarthy's. He was the actor, the main character in the first film.
Who had a bit scene in this.
Yes. It's a neat way to tie the two films together in a way. Mm-hmm. And he's played that character one other time, which I'll talk about in a little while. Yeah. But he's a health inspector for the Department of Health, and I love his opening scene.
Great opening scene,
where he goes to a restaurant because there's been complaints, and he's looking in this sauce and I love
everybody's looking at him. Like,
I love when he's like, what? "Oh, welcome." And you see that, and he pulls something out of the stock, and he's like, "What is this?" And the guy's, "It's a caper."
It's a caper because he asked him what's everything.
Yeah, all the ingredients.
We don't give out all the ingredients.
He's like, "No, it's a rat turd." It's a caper, and they keep going back.
It's a rat turd,
and he finally says, "It's a caper. You eat it." And he
wouldn't eat it. And so he puts it in a little jar and takes it.
It's that kind of stuff that he gets to do. And then we meet. Even before that, we meet Elizabeth.
Yes,
who's the female lead character in the film. She comes home from work and
she works at the health department too.
Yeah, she's works in the lab or something. Some kind of
Donald Sutherland.
She's some kind of scientist.
Yeah.
Works in a lab. I don't know doing what, but they never really say. But
testing the.
Well, we know she tests the rat turd for salmonella.
Or
something like that. Yeah, but she comes home and we meet her boyfriend, Jeffrey, who's a dentist.
Yes.
And he's watching TV with those
Dr. Jeffrey Howell
with the headphones on. I'm not sure how that. I know they had those in the 70s. I'm just not. It's like, is it Bluetooth?
No, I was wondering too. I mean,
how is that working? They're wireless. How he's putting headphones.
Was it wireless? I couldn't remember.
It sure as hell looked like it. Maybe it worked over some kind of like walkie-talkie kind of, receiver.
Frick, man, 1978.
Some kind of receiver.
That would have been pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
And he's watching a basketball game and he brings her over here and he's kissing her.
She's trying to talk to him.
Yeah.
And it's talking like, I got this plan, stuff like that.
And she finds this weird.
He's ignoring her and just.
And it's one of those pods.
Yeah. He's ignoring her and just waving her over. He just.
Remember when they're macking?
Wants one thing.
They're macking on the chair, and then all of a sudden, he stole it away.
That's a guy who doesn't give a shit.
Man, no, he doesn't. So I mean, just from the get-go, he doesn't care.
No.
And what we're going to find throughout the film is that Donald Sutherland's character, he's in total love with her.
Oh, he's in love with her.
Yeah, and she knows it too. Yeah. But I mean, she's got this other douchebag boyfriend. Ain't that usually the case? Two people are just meant to be together, but you got this douchebag boyfriend that you just won't leave.
Yeah, I don't know.
You chicks are weird sometimes.
I mean, what?
Man.
Oh.
Chicks are weird sometimes.
Chicks are weird. They're like, they don't know.
I don't know, Mr. Carter, man. These chicks are just weird.
She come back to my place.
But his name's Matthew. And he calls her up and he's like, hey, you could get to work at 7:30 in the morning and check this turd for me. Whatever.
Come check this turd.
So, that's kind of how we're introduced.
They play
to
off of each other very, very nicely. And
there's a lot of, what do I want to say? More like quiet moments where...
a lot of that.
Where they're looking at each other or using, different facial expressions. The movie's really good about letting the actors... just emote a little bit. You don't need all this dialogue.
Because that's what the whole movie is going to encompass. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're setting...
It's important to see those emotions.
Yeah, they're setting up for the coming scenes and for what the picture is all about.
And even these quiet little moments, like when later on...
Seeing people not being who they are in their face, their expressions, their emotions.
They meet at work.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we have to talk about the next morning. She wakes up for work, and there's Jeffrey already dressed in his suit, sweeping up the pod. She left the pod in a little glass of water.
Yeah, right next to the bed.
Now, let me ask you a question before we get too far.
Yeah.
Because
there's questions in everything,
movie
but go ahead. Yeah.
Of this sort, there's always like a physical connection.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the tendrils get on you or... something.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really see that in this movie. Like, does the pod just have to be in proximity of you? I mean, you never really saw, like, tendrils grabbing hold. I mean, sometimes the pod could be in the other room. Okay.
Well, no, it did it with
those little
Donald
spider web things.
Yeah.
But you almost
Jeff Goldblum.
They almost didn't show it very much. Like I remember one scene where like when Donald Sutherland's outside and he falls asleep and he's really getting
right.
The others are there too, but they're in the house.
Right.
I mean, they just didn't like show a lot of the physical connection between it. I think that was just one thing I noticed in the movie this time.
Well, I wonder if there was a physical connection earlier, but in it like a virus, it stays in you and it connects you to the pod. Because when she was at that mud bath type thing, you saw that it came up to her head.
That.
So does that mean that it's incorporated in her body?
Yeah, I don't know.
From then on?
That was my only question.
Because Jeff Goldblum was on the table again, too.
Right.
But somehow they destroyed him and have to get a new pod.
I don't know.
Because there was a new one out in the yard at Matthew's house.
That was the only question I kind of was left with. You don't see much of the
but I get what you're saying.
Like the pod's got to suck you in so that it can replicate you.
Right.
And,
well, it just needs a lot of that. It just needs to touch for a genetic makeup of your genome. I mean, you know what I mean?
Interesting. But it doesn't in any way diminish the power of the film.
No, not at all.
So, and he's very flat affect Jeffrey in the morning. He knocked over the pod. He's sweeping it up.
He almost robotic. He's not listening to her whatsoever.
Right.
Or
says he's got to go to a meeting tonight. Or no, that's later on. I'm sorry. But he goes off to work and he's got a little garbage bag in his hand. And what we will come to find later on is those are all the husks of the bodies of, the old body, the real Jeffrey. That's just because you don't get to see that until the end.
You don't see that until the very end.
Right.
And
where in Body Snatchers, they do that as well. It's the husks.
I mean, it's not spoiling anything, but not until the very end do you see Elizabeth
like disintegrate.
Disintegrate and just to skin and it's very odd.
But what I was getting at is later that day she goes over Matthews. He's cooking and they're having that quiet moment outside, and there's not a whole lot of talking going on. He even says to her, because she
there was that scene real quick where he did throw it in the garbage truck, because the garbage truck's always there collecting the debris and the hair from the husks and the cocoon, whatever, the pod, and throughout the whole movie. Like, even Donald Sutherland's character, Matthew, leans up against a whole garbage truck full of things. Don't ask me why you get that close to it.
I know.
But he's sitting there, and again, you wonder, does it, is there something there connect? But anyways, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No. And, she comes over and says, he's not my boyfriend. He's not Jeffrey. He's acting different. And, Matthew doesn't like him anyway. So
right.
And
I forget what he said. Like, what do you mean? He's just not,
He's like, well, leave him. That's usually it's, well, leave him. He's like, well, it's his house. Well, make him an offer. But
always joking.
What I'm getting at is they're outside. They're having that quiet meal that he cooked. They're having a glass of wine. Yeah. And they're just kind of bantering playfully back and forth. And that's such a great part of the movie.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Because now you're going to see what's at stake, what's to be lost. Just that little bit of humanity.
Their connection together.
When she says, do you think I'm crazy? And he says, do that thing with your eyes.
Yeah, he goes, I don't know if you're real if you do that thing with your eyes.
And she can do this thing where she can make her, and they're going, if you look, they're going opposite directions.
Yeah.
Where she could just make her eyes.
Yeah.
And obviously they had to talk about that before they filmed.
Yeah.
Like, is there anything that you can kind of do that's just you, something that you know.
Oh, yeah.
And, well, I can do this.
I can do that. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And...
Yeah.
It just shows...
Even though it freaked me out.
It is, but it just shows something that makes us what we are.
Human.
Makes us human. Makes us, these...
Individual.
And,
lists.
That's a clear portrait of what's at stake. That will all be lost if the pod people take over. It doesn't seem like much, but it's a huge deal.
Yeah, I'll talk about that at the end, how... it's... we'll get
it's a pretty boring life. No love, no hate, no war.
Well, we're talking about it. Yeah, it's
pretty damn dull.
What a sad existence. the whole, movie, the whole point that they kept trying to get across to, like Matthew, Donald, all the other characters who are human still, is that it's not bad, you know.
You remember everything. Yeah, everything's intact.
Yeah, but you see all of the emotion and everything is just withdrawn from it. It's like a computer chip or something like that. It may retain the information, but everything else seems to be gone. And it's like, what kind of life... You
can't experience any joy or any emotion from it.
It's like, what kind of life would that be if you don't connect emotionally?
You'd be watching some mad world, and you just wouldn't be laughing.
There you'd be going.
I hate to think of the TV shows they make.
I think some of the Hollywood producers are pod people right now.
There's a lot of pod people out there. I think anybody who's deeply political is a pod person. I mean,
I think
political, or
so
religious or whatever.
Maybe a little bit of that going on right now, but anyway.
Anywhere where there's like groupthink.
Yeah.
I can't stand it, man. I feel like I'm in a herd of penguins and I just got to stand up and say, I'm me.
Yeah. But anyways, Matthew and her are talking, Elizabeth are talking, and
he gives her the idea to go see his doctor friend. What's his name? Dr.
David Kibner.
Dr.
David Kibner.
He's sort of like a celebrity psychiatrist, kind of like the guy that he reminds me of like a Dr. Phil before there was a Dr. Phil.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah. Objective advice for subjective problems or something like that. But he writes these books every 6 months. This, that.
And that's where we're introduced to Jeff Goldblum.
Right, because there's a book party, and he's going to have Elizabeth meet him, and maybe he could talk to her a little bit.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum.
I'm not crazy though. What's he going to do?
I love when he pops up.
Jeff Goldblum, again...
It's crap! It's crap!
I've talked about it on our last show with The Fly.
He's not as stammering in this one as he was in The Fly.
No.
He hasn't developed that
he honed it a little bit.
Yet.
But, hey, from the even in Annie Hall... Mm-hmm. I believe it was Annie Hall, not Manhattan. Annie Hall. Just, I need my mantra. That's all he had to say, and there's something about him that's alluring and captivating. And again, in this movie too, he hasn't honed in on what he does yet, but it was still there a bit.
He's a good character, and he's like second build in it too. So not bad.
So his introduction, he was pissed off about him coming out with a book every 6 months because...
And he's a poet. He writes poetry. He was hoping to be able to read some of his there. I don't know why, because the event wasn't centered around him.
Who knows?
And obviously he's been very verbal about
I like how he says...
because they don't like each other. You could kind of tell that. They don't like each other.
Like how he says, it takes me 6 months to come up with a good sentence sometimes. Mm-hmm. And she goes... word by word or something. Right. It just was funny how she said that.
And it's also important to note, before this happened, they're driving to the place, and
immediately
this is where we get our first. Well, no, it's not our first famous cameo. Our first famous cameo is at the beginning when we see Robert Duvall dressed as a pedophile priest.
Yes, on the
swinging on the swings with the kids.
On the swing set.
As a pedophile priest.
Oh, Lord.
Well, why would he be swinging with children on swings?
I have
surrounded by children.
Ted, let's not even go there, but I get what you're saying.
I mean, I know, but...
And why that would be in this film... As a cameo.
He just happened to be in town. He had worked with the director before. Like, I'll pop in your movie, whatever. I'll come over. I mean,
I know, but why?
He could have just did. He could have just did a walk on. He's like, no, I want to be a pedophile priest. And
well, he does do that glance over at the
kids
playing.
Yep, sure as hell does.
With the flowers.
It goes way back then.
Well, of course. But anyways,
and then our second big cameo is. What's his nuts? Kevin McCarthy, the star of the first Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
from 1950,
who comes up to the door, of their car when they pull up. He's like, "They're here! They're coming! You're in danger!" And that's exactly how his character was at the end of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So it kind of connects the two. Has this guy been running around the country for the last 20 years? Screaming to the, something's going on.
But interesting, story.
I mean, it was so great. And there's I read a cool story that when they were filming
we got to talk about that scene too, but go ahead.
Yeah, they were filming that scene, and it was kind of a little bit of a rough part of town. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of homeless people and whatnot. And there was a guy there, homeless guy, just naked. Butt ass, bare ass.
Yeah, he was going, "What you guys doing? You filming?"
Well, yeah. And he said to Kevin McCarthy, he recognized Kevin McCarthy. Yeah. He's like, "What?" He said, "What are you guys making here? You making Invasion of the Body Snatchers again?" And he said, "Yeah." He's like,
Really?
"You were in the other one."
No.
Yes. And he said, "Well, the other one was better." So it's like before the movie was done, they got the first review. The naked guy said it was better.
It was even better.
But I wanted to say that Kevin McCarthy actually played this character one more time in Joe Dante's Looney Tunes movie, Back in Action.
Oh.
There's a military base, like Area 51 base. You ever see that movie?
No.
Oh my God, you got to see it. There's only one director alive who could have made a Looney Tunes movie, and that was Joe Dante. That movie is actually funny.
No, I know you said it.
You got to see it.
I know.
And Brendan Fraser's hilarious in it.
You say so.
It's funny. And in this Area 51 base, there's all like the old 50s movie monsters. I think there's a Dalek. There's the Metaluna from This Island Earth is there. And Pod People. He's there, but he's completely black and white. He's like completely gray. Like he's from a black and white movie. And I think he was holding a pod. They're here. They're here. Or do you even remember, what was that other movie?
God damn, I'm going to have to watch
I think it was called Fiend. No. It was the one with the little brains at the antenna, and they would strangle you. It was like these little brains that would heat. Oh, God.
Oh, what the
It's
hell?
Even got a Criterion Collection DVD, I swear to God.
60s movie?
Yeah, 50s, 60s. It's actually got a Criterion Blu-ray.
Okay, well, yeah.
But anyway, one of those little monsters is in there. Oh, it's cool as hell.
Oh, wow. The brain that wouldn't die? No.
Some fiend without a face.
Okay,
something. I don't
we'll move
know.
on.
But anyway, so that was, he's played that character a few times, and it was really cool, to have that connection. But it's also, this guy's already woken up and realized, hey, shit's going down.
Oh, yeah.
And then he goes taking off down the street, and
that was the start immediately.
Pod people are just going after him. You hear squeal of tires. He got hit by a car, and they're all just standing there.
You hear a very subtle, like, where they make that. You start hearing that periodically through the film,
right
before the shit really hits the fan. Yep. But in this scene, all those people are chasing him, and even the cop goes down there, and
everyone's just staring at him.
And it's a great opening scene for what's about to come,
right.
Because even the music stops and gets lower, and it's so silent. And as they drive by very slowly, and the guy's dead.
Yeah, music's kind of sparing in this film, but it's really good. I mean, it's effective.
It's effective,
and the sound effects were done by Ben Burt, who did Star Wars. He's like the master sound effects guy. That was the go-to guy for sound effects.
They make a great film when they even take that into consideration and say, no, we need more music. No, you don't need more music. You work on the mood and the effect that it's going to have on the film itself.
Yep.
And that's what they did well in this film. So
absolutely. So when they're at that book signing party, Matthew wants to call the police because he was a witness. He just wants to make a report. He's a county worker. He feels he should do that. And
that's nice of him.
The police that are answering the phone, they're all flat. They're not interested. They don't want to know anything about it. He can't believe that.
Yeah.
And I even like Jeff Goldblum's character. What's his name? Jack Belichick.
Yeah.
Oh, we should know that name here.
Jack Belichick.
He's it's like, what do you want to talk to them for? Get your name on a master list.
Oh,
he's talking about everything's a conspiracy. Yeah. You'll get your name on a master list.
Yeah, when he's on the phone, when Donald Sutherland's character is on the phone, Matthew, talking to the police, Jeff Goldblum's character is constantly in his ear talking. And Matthew doesn't get upset whatsoever. He's just sitting there going, stop, we'll get there after. Meanwhile, Jeff Goldblum's like, boom, 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 just talking. I'm like going...
You can tell he's a patient friend.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a very patient friend to Jack.
I'm like, wow. Oh, my God.
Imagine being around that guy all day.
Oh.
But... And then when he's going to introduce Elizabeth, remember when he introduces Elizabeth to Jack, he's like, oh, this is Elizabeth, the Elizabeth? He's been talking about it.
Right.
Which is kind of cute.
Yeah.
And when he does introduce her to Dr. Kibner, it's kind of funny that he's talking to a woman who's saying the same thing. My husband's not my husband. He's just not the same. And
he's got some slit in the back of his neck, she was saying.
He's got a scar.
Which is weird.
And when she said, when he had longer hair, it covered up, and then he got a haircut, and Elizabeth says, it was gone. And she's like, no, it was still there. So I know it's him, but it's not him.
Yeah.
And, even Matthew experiences this. I don't remember where it happened in the film. Maybe after this scene where he goes to the Chinese dry cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
And, he
it's
gives
after this, yeah.
And I love the old lady when he tells her, this one's got a coffee, saying, that's not coffee.
That's not coffee.
Yes, it is. I put it there myself. It may not come out. But then the old guy, what does he say? He's like, it's not my wife.
Yeah,
not my wife.
He goes, don't ask me why he pulled him over, but he pulls him over and goes, that's
well,
not
he thought he was
wife.
a doctor. And he's like, you doctor?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
That's what
right,
he said.
Yeah.
But, and even
it's
Nimoy's character even says when they actually, after that couple, he puts that couple back together and says, go, come see me tomorrow. He's talking to Elizabeth, and he's basically trying to give her some popular bullshit explanation. People don't want to take the time to develop good relationships. They don't want to deal with things, and this is why this is all happening. He's like, I've had 6 or 7 people come to me this week and say this. So obviously some time has gone by. It's not, this doesn't just happen in like 2 days.
Trying to make her feel good, but does go to Matthew and is a little bit more blunt, like, there's possibly something going around.
Right, there's something
like that,
and he even wonders if the health department should look into it. He's like, I don't know. I'll let you know if I find anything out. But he says it's almost like like a contagious fugue, like that people are going through. But so that's that's how we're introduced to Nimoy's character. Then I think that part with the dry cleaner happens.
Yeah.
Oh, it's also fun to point out that Veronica Cartwright.
Right.
Cartwright.
I
say Cartwright.
Seinfeld reference.
She's actually in The Invasion as well, playing a similar kind of character whose husband is not her husband. And I think Nicole Kidman's like the psychiatrist in that one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so she's not playing the same character, but it is a little callback to one of the older ones that the same actor.
Cameos all over the place with these remakes and stuff. That's how much people love this film and these films and the storyline and
Body Snatchers takes place on a military. Have you seen that one?
Which one?
Just the 93 one, Body Snatchers.
Oh my gosh, so long ago.
It's really good. It's got Forrest Whitaker, who I always like in just about everything he does. Yeah. But it takes place on a military base,
right?
And that one's kind of interesting because it's it's a military environment this time. And there's the same thing like like that and. So each one's got a little something from the previous ones, and they try to make it their own. So as the film just goes on, I mean, we get back to the Belichicks, and they run a Jeff Goldblum's character. They run a
mud bath.
Mud bath place.
Yeah.
Are they changing this mud every day?
I hope so.
There's this huge
it's
fat
boiling,
guy, and this boiling mud. He can't get out. He gets out. And
can you help me get out of here?
He's telling ass and balls hanging out.
Yeah, he's telling Jeff Goldblum.
And it's like, is someone else getting in that mud? I mean, because if I'm in there, I'm probably letting loose my urine and bowels in there.
Oh God, Ted. No. You know what? It made me think the same thing. Like it's bubbling.
That can't be sanitary.
You're not putting new mud in there every time. You need to.
Yeah, I mean,
but
can't be healthy.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Gross.
I mean, you're getting in there to exfoliate.
I don't know what. I don't
germs
know
and everything
what
else.
You would sit in a big pit of hot mud for. And then she's massaging him.
Oh yeah, afterwards he cleans him up and she's massaging a big.
I watched this with my 9-year-old daughter.
She slapping his butt.
Yeah, she was the only one willing to watch it with me.
Yeah.
And when she was doing that, she's like, "Ew, why is she doing that?"
I was waiting.
She's rubbing his big belly.
Yeah, I was about ready to go. Is she going to give him a happy ending or something?
Oh no!
I mean, Ted. I mean, what?
I've never been to a massage parlor where they do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do what?
The happy endings.
Oh,
I'm too embarrassed to ask.
I've never been to a massage parlor.
No, I'm just kidding. I guess it's got to be one of them Korean ones.
You want me finish? You want me finish?
Sure.
Anyways, but yeah,
if you got the energy, honey. Sure.
So we're introduced to that whole thing.
Well, this is where we're going to see
Jack.
I don't know exactly what happens, but there's one guy there who's obviously a pod person, because when he's leaving, Jack comes back. What's he do? He goes into like a steam room or something with his head hanging out the door. And he's gonna start dozing.
Yeah.
But what's his wife's name?
Who?
Veronica Curry.
Oh,
Nancy Belichick.
Yeah.
She tells the one old guy there who's getting ready to leave, "Thank you for that interesting plant you gave me." All right, you remember that?
Yeah.
Because then, and this is what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff Goldblum's character is about to get potted out, but I don't see initially any physical connection between the plant and him to cause it.
Yeah, they leave some stuff out. I mean, I don't know what to say about that.
And I tried to read up on it a little bit, and I couldn't really find anything. No. But I guess we have to assume maybe those little spider webby things come out and, touch him somewhere. It doesn't have to have much of a connection.
Well, it's got to be, because that's the biggest part of when they do show.
Oh, yeah, when you actually do see, like...
That's what you see.
The pod people being born, that's a brutal scene.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, then, as she's cleaning up, he's snoozing, Jack, and there's just this body laying there. She thinks it's Jack, pulls it over, and it looks like a sort of dead body, I guess. But they call Matthew over. And
body form.
I guess it's good to have a public servant as a friend.
Yeah, I guess
because he comes right over. He's there for everybody's beck and call.
Right.
And they start examining it. And this is sort of something from the original Invasion of the Body Snatcher, too, where it's not because he woke up, because Jack woke up, it stopped the process. And they noticed that, what did they say?
Because he went over to the next, bed or whatever and doze off. Mm-hmm. And when he was dozed off, Nancy comes over and looks at him, and his eyes open.
Yeah.
And you can slowly see that his nose is starting to bleed, too, because Jeff Goldblum's is his character's nose is bleeding.
Right.
So it's kind of duplicating the whole process there.
But before that, didn't they notice that it didn't look fully formed, they said. It looks generic. A generic, no features.
No fingerprints.
That was the big one there, too.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really tell what it was. And then, then you're right. As he's going to go... was he going to grab Elizabeth, or...
I'm trying to think. Could be.
Because, now he's starting to see people aren't who... They're being taken over.
Yeah.
And you're right. Jeff Goldblum, he dozed off and almost, that was a cool part.
Almost got him.
Even my daughter noticed that too. She said that was cool. How the one opened its eyes, then he closed, and
it's funny when the person falls asleep, their skin starts drying out or something like that.
The husk starting, and it happens when you're asleep. That's the thing about all of these films. Even in the Invasion, I remember they're like locked in a convenience store, and she's just like pounding Mountain Dew. Right. Anything they can, because you can't fall asleep.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's almost like
it's like Nightmare on Elm Street,
right? But is there not, like you talked about? Is the connection, like they couldn't find nowhere to get away from it all and fall asleep for a while? No matter what, no matter
but
where
you take
they
your
are,
chances. No
matter
when you're
where
asleep,
you are,
you're completely
though,
helpless.
Right, but say you got on a boat or a ship, or that has nobody else on it, and you're out in the ocean. Can you nap for a little while? Or is
there maybe?
Yeah.
But hell, in this movie, they were loading the boats up too. So.
Well, no, I know.
But they hadn't been able to get to that, get to a boat. Yeah. You're in the middle of a big city.
But that got to me, like wondering, why can't they sleep if they haven't been contacted yet with the, you know what I mean?
I don't think they realized it was the pods yet. They didn't realize it was a plant causing this. So,
because hell, I mean, later on, well, we'll get to that.
He goes to get, he calls Kibner, the doctor.
Oh yeah, to come over and check out the
this
body.
Out. And when they get there, Kibner goes back there to check out. He comes out and says, "There's nothing there." And you could see the windows open. He's already taken over.
And the garbage truck out there. Yeah, he's already
taken over at this point. Yep. You don't know that yet.
Right.
But, you got a pretty good idea. And that's another thing about this movie. You don't, just like Carpenter's The Thing, you don't know who who you can trust yet.
Right.
And Nimoy is, well, I mean, not that he's flat, but he's got that affect about, he doesn't show a lot of emotion. You can't tell with his character.
Yeah, he was tough. I mean, yeah, because if that, who knows if it took place earlier on, but yeah, if it took place in that short period of time, he certainly still had his
showed emotion
character a bit.
At the book party and immediately after when they were talking outside. So it happened in between there and when he shows up at the mud bath.
And when he leaves the mud bath place and he gets in the car with Jeffrey, Elizabeth's boyfriend of the time, and who else was in the car? But driving away with other people, and and he goes, we're going to have to do this sooner than later. Take care of these group of people because they're catching on.
Even later, he said, Elizabeth tells Matthew, I followed him all day. Mm-hmm. And he's meeting with he's meeting with all these people that I don't know. And,
doing strange things, carry around these little pod things.
Plants, these packages.
Totally in the open.
Right.
Yeah.
And
without a care in the world.
And she's literally like right behind him and he doesn't know she's there.
Right.
Because they're so, robotic.
Yeah.
So I think that finally is going to get Matthew to, hey, I got to go get her away from him.
Yeah.
Because maybe she's right about this stuff.
Right.
And when he gets to her house, he has to kind of break in. And she's already almost being assimilated. There's like almost a fully formed pod person right there. And she's...
When he does break in, because he's looking over the window and he sees that Jeffrey is down there with the headphones on.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes around the back and breaks the window and opens up the back door and sneaks his way up. So, and she's, laying naked in that...
No nipples.
No nipples.
On the body. Just no nipples.
You noticed that, huh?
Oh, I made a point to notice. It's my business. It's my profession to notice.
Oh, in the TV cut, is that what it was?
Well, that was probably just...
You know what I'm talking about.
It was the part where she actually stands up. When she actually gets assimilated. That was the part in the TV version.
Yeah, that they put
she kept her dress on.
They put the red dress,
Yep.
on.
And they would do that. They would film little alternate scenes because eventually, usually a couple years later, these movies would be like, the ABC Sunday night movie.
Yeah.
That's how honestly, that's how I saw a lot of these movies. That's how
we'd have to wait 2 years for ABC, CBS, NBC.
I remember, and it was always a huge deal. Like if Raiders of the Lost Ark was on, or Jaws was on, well, hell, when they put Superman on, it was a 2-night event. And there was I remember watching...
I remember the 2-night
all
events.
these extra parts.
2-night event.
It was all these extra scenes that you had never seen. Now you can get that on Blu-ray.
It's a big freaking deal.
Yes. It was a huge deal because, you would record those if you had a VCR.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
For a long time, like Superman, that extended version.
Now you want it.
The only way you could get that is if you bought a bootleg VCR tape.
Yeah.
Because I remember recording it off TV, and I had the 3-hour version, and got the 2-hour version here.
But yeah, what Matthew pretty much brings them all back to his house.
Yeah, because the shit's going down.
Says, let's all go there.
And she, and characters have said throughout, I'm walking through this city, and I feel like, I'm not part of it anymore. Like like everybody, there's an understanding amongst everyone else, and I'm not part of it anymore. Yeah. I don't know if it speaks to some kind of...
Yeah, somehow they're connecting.
It just
telepathy or just expressions.
There was actually an interview with the director from last year talking about how, the film's still kind of poignant. He tried to compare it to people that support Trump and all that, or President Trump or whatever. Whatever. I'm sorry, but
trying to go there, huh?
I think anybody that's political, no matter what side you're on, you're a dodo head anyway, because it's all two sides of the same coin, and you're a sucker if you think otherwise.
Stay tuned to Dino and Ted's political thoughts.
I'm so
next after this message.
Political. They spend all their time trying to convince you that, their best interest is your best interest, and that ain't necessarily the truth. So
that's why I don't even talk about it.
That's right. It's a bunch
live. Anyways, your point?
Oh, my point was I'm trying to these films, because they're generational, kind of reminds me a little bit of Romero's Dead movies when they first started out. Like, he had a message behind them. I'm trying to see, maybe there's, living in those big cities, sometimes you get a disconnect, when you're surrounded by so many people, you almost feel apart from them, even though, you're surrounded by people. You almost feel more isolated in a way.
You could paint that label on it.
Yep. So I think, I kind of see that in this.
I just see it as aliens coming and taking over the planet.
Hey, man. I do a show. I got to get deep. I got to get the show.
No, hey, it's quite possible.
That's right.
There's always messages in all of these films from Hollywood and everything. So, always a point to get across. Always something a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. Stanley Kubrick was the biggest of all of them when it came to that kind of stuff. But
he hit it all in those movies.
Yeah.
All the truths in the world.
And there's people who have studied like The Shining or 2001 for 20 years to just, Stanley Kubrick's got something to say here, and they're dissecting.
I think he did.
They're doing, they're.
I don't know what Full Metal Jacket has to say, though. I just don't know what it has to say.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something hidden in there. Though,
you never hear too much deep talk about Full Metal Jacket. It almost doesn't feel like a Stanley Kubrick movie.
That might have just been work. I mean,
I feel like making a movie.
Even Stanley Kubrick had to do work. So
I mean, even well, hell, he doesn't have any bad movies. The first one's kind of but Fear and Desire, but.
But anyways, they're all at Matthew's house, and we're at that point there where
he tries to call the police again about what's going on. Wants to report a body. Actually, even when he's there getting Elizabeth, cops show up. Jeffrey shows up. Dr. Kibner shows up, and
when he starts sedatives,
when he starts telling them,
he gives Elizabeth.
When Matthew starts telling them what's going on, I mean, he sounds like a lunatic, and he says, "I know I sound crazy." Yeah. But finally they're able to.
That's how they get away with it.
They're able to get away, and even when he does try to call the police again, I love it when they say this, like, yes, Mr. What's his name in the movie? Bennell. Yes, Mr. Bennell, and like, how do you know my name? How do you know my, when he calls the police and they already know his name? He's trying to call someone he knows in Washington, and an operator picks up, what call would you like, Mr. Bennell? And you're like, I was calling directly.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just, the noose is tightening.
Right.
There are less of them than there are of the pod people.
Right.
And
there's even a taxi ride.
Oh, that's a good part, too.
In the film where, they're looking to get to the airport, and and
that's do you know who that is driving the taxi? That's Don Siegel. That's the guy who directed the original.
That's right.
So that's another little cameo.
Another one, yeah.
And he was actually driving that cab
one I missed
at night, and his vision was almost nothing. He didn't wear his glasses, and I guess there were a few close calls with his driving.
Oh my God.
But yeah, and they're starting to figure it out a little bit. Don't show emotion. I mean, they haven't quite figured it out yet, but they're trying to pull it off.
Right.
But most of the time, it's Elizabeth who's looking over her shoulder, and that's giving them away.
Yep.
And you're right. But when they're trying to get to the airport, the guy's even being suspicious, asking them questions.
Yeah. And they're like, saying the right things, like we're not leaving. We're meeting relatives who are flying in from
Boston or something.
So it goes along, with
But he's calling it.
We're bringing in more people.
I got two or something. And they get what is it, like a blockade or something? And and they just duck right out.
He said something, and I don't know what the hell he said.
I can't remember. Something like I got two of them, or
no, it sounded like a different language. Like,
who knows?
He said Allah.
I have no idea.
Can you imagine an Iraqi Invasion body Snatchers movie where they all talked? They have their
own movies. They made their own. Isn't there there's a. I forgot the name of this movie. I was actually going to check it out one time.
There's got to be other countries.
It's called like the Turkish Star Wars, where it actually uses footage from Star Wars in it. and it's like the spaceships and stuff. But
we're gonna do a big Star Wars extravaganza.
It's coming up when we can go live again because we got grounded.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do
soon.
Huge. It's gonna be huge. You all got to come.
It's gonna be huge.
It's gonna be a really big show. You're really gonna find out how I feel.
It's gonna be a 3-hour show.
Oh, we haven't done an epic 3-hour show since.
It's gotta be
Salem's Lot.
If we're gonna talk all of that and then
all of it.
From
the beginning to the holiday special,
mess with the chat,
to the Ewok movies, everything. You're gonna be chatting. You're gonna be hitting me up.
So this movie, we're at the point where they're all on the run.
They're on the run. That's exactly what I was gonna say. They're on the run.
I mean, did we get to the big thing when they were at the house and
that's kind of like the next thing before they kind of take off.
Okay.
We really get to see the pods assimilating the characters in the film. One of them is staying awake, but the others, like Donald Sutherland's character, he's out in the yard just trying to catch some Z's, and we really see them.
It's funny how he just pops over and his arm falls
Yeah, then
off
I think we see the little cobwebby things.
Yeah, it goes up kind of his hand there.
Yeah, I think we see that there. Yeah. So I'm all wrong.
No, there's scenes where between Jeff Goldblum's character. Yeah, a couple characters
when they're
you don't
right
see
there
that.
Next to you, I feel like that was, you got to see that just to understand how the process works.
But that scene is just so amazing.
Like they pop out almost baby looking,
and they're all making these sounds like they're learning to breathe and talk. Like,
yep. And it slowly starts looking like Donald Sutherland and a couple of the other characters. They get woken up. Yeah. And these things are almost fully formed, and they're getting ready to leave. And Matthew, he takes a hoe or an axe or whatever. He's got a garden tool.
Well, because the cops and everybody are coming for them.
Yep.
And they're taking off down the thing, but he does one last thing.
Oh, and that's brutal. That
he was going to do Elizabeth, and I think he thought,
can't do it.
If I can't do it because what if it kills her maybe or something?
But he did himself.
He goes and tests on himself
and just smashes the head, and it looks like
I would have hurried up and smashed the other ones,
but it's not like skull and bones. It's soft.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does look like blood coming out of there. Oh, and it was
Yeah,
it was. But was a very good, juicy part.
Very cool scene.
And just the whole thing that as the plants are assimilating the pods and everything, it's just the sound effects are fantastic, top notch.
Everything.
It's one of the best parts of the whole movie. And like you said, they're on the run.
Yeah, and that's what ensues for a good part of the rest of the movie. Yeah. It's just them running.
Jack and Nancy decide to create a distraction.
Because they're cornered.
Yeah, let's split up.
Yep.
And
they run away.
They run. Mm-hmm. And this is where they go to Matthew and Elizabeth. They go to the the public health building.
Okay.
Maybe to try to hide out. They end up getting caught. Jeffrey's there. Jack, who's now been assimilated. Jeff Goldblum's character. We don't see Nancy. And Dr. Kibner, Spock, Leonard Nimoy's character.
Right before that, it's important to say that him and Elizabeth both took like 5.
Oh, some speed.
Speed.
Yeah, it says how many you're supposed to take. It says take 1, take 5.
Which isn't a good idea.
Well, it was a heart attack. But it was a good thing they did it
because they got a sedative from.
And I don't know any medication that you inject in this part of your hand.
No, here on the top.
Well, yeah, on one, and then
did they do her on the other side?
I thought or maybe I'm thinking a different movie. I'm thinking a different movie.
Yeah,
you know what? I watched Scanners the other day, David Cronenberg Scanners, and they gave an injection here.
Okay.
So it's like, it was some other kind of medication.
Anywhere in the vein. I mean,
boy, they make it look so damn easy. Yeah, we got this big needle here. We're just gonna, Jesus.
If you got a vein, it's easy to inject. But anyways. So
luckily they took that speed, and it is sort of able to counteract the sedative that
Matthew knocks the hell out of. He kills Jeff Gold.
Yeah, he pulls some darts off a dartboard and stabs him in the back of the neck.
He's dead, and then Dr. David killed whatever. Mm-hmm. Spock. he puts him in the freezer.
Yeah, and he's still alive. But yeah, he bops him on the head and puts him in the freezer.
And then they get out to the hallway where they do run into Nancy
and they're
Cartwright's
not sure at first. It's cool. And she's the one that divulges what she's learned is that as long as you don't show emotion, they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's even mentioned in the Invasion as well. Mm-hmm. I think Nicole Kidman's character's on a bus, and there's a couple on there. And I remember the guy on the bus says, you can fool them. Just don't show any emotion. You can fool. They can be fooled. Yeah. So that's little things that carry over.
Must be something you see in the face then.
As long as you just are flat, don't show any emotion. Don't do anything that anybody else isn't doing.
Like make me laugh. Like how in a lot of scenes you've seen them all congregating. Mm-hmm. They're like all looking at each other. I guess if one of them went, I guess
that's a giveaway. Yeah. Well, so that's what they do. And what's going on, what they notice when they're taking the speed and everything, there's all these trucks. They're loading up these pods on these trucks, going to different Sausalito, this city, that city.
Right in the open.
Yeah, well, because everyone's, there's no one like them left. That's even a great line in Body Snatchers. It's Jennifer Tilly's sister. I can't remember her name, but it's a Tilly. And she says something to one of the characters, where are you going to go?
Meg Tilly?
Where are you going to run? Meg Tilly, yes. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to run? Where are you going to hide? He's like, nowhere, because there's no one like you left. And that's kind of what's going on here. Yeah. There's no one like them left. And, these are all going. I mean, they're loading up boats, we find. Where are they getting all these pods? We're going to find out.
Well, that's more towards the end. I was going to talk about the ships too, but
that's all at the same place, the docks where the pods are.
They got excited because they see ships, and he goes, "There's ships. We can get away." And
they're loading them up.
Yeah, he leaves her up there by herself, and
Yeah, they make a run. Well, before that though,
but
the three of them, Nancy, Matthew, and Elizabeth, they're going to do that. No emotion. They're going to walk out. And one thing they noticed earlier when they were going to the public health building, throughout the movie, there's like a bum or whatever that plays the banjo. It's actually Jerry Garcia. His name's in the credits. He plays the banjo. He played that music.
Got a little bulldog, or boxer,
little dog with him, and they're both being assimilated. He tries to wake them up real quick. They don't wake up, and they go. And then
he pops the pod, which I wonder if that does anything to that, because they were like
right
and together. Like it was the face of Jerry or the guy in the body of the dog.
Yeah, they're in line to get a pod. And this dog comes up and it's got a human face on it, and it's really cool. It's an actual practical effect with a tongue comes out and everything.
But I wonder if that's from him knocking.
I think because they were both together like that in one pod, it just assimilated them both. Yeah. Almost a little precursor to The Fly there, I guess. Yeah. Or post-cursor, because it did happen in the previous movie. Yeah. But that causes Elizabeth to scream. Blows her cover. Mm-hmm. Of course, she starts running. Matt goes after her, blows his cover, but Nancy stays. She doesn't give it away. Yeah. So we don't find out her fate till the end of the movie, and so they run for it. That gives them away. Everyone's chasing them, and they go down. They're like by the docks, and they're hiding out in the brush or whatever.
Yeah, they're sitting by the docks of them bay.
Dock in the bay. And that's what, they hear the boats coming in.
Because Elizabeth hurt her ankle. So she's got to lay there in the
grass.
Wearing
them heels. So he goes to check on the ship that's coming in. Maybe there's a way they can get away. They hear Amazing Grace playing like it's a Scottish ship coming in or whatever. Yeah. And sees that it's just being loaded with a huge pallet of pods. And by the time he gets back, she's already fallen asleep. Evidently been being assimilated already. He can't wake her up. Yep. And she just turns to slowly. It's a great effect.
It is.
That dry husk right there in his
arms.
You
can see the cheek like kind of caving in.
It's awesome.
And just drop.
Really good.
Very, very cool effect, And right before that, they did find like the factory of where they were making all these.
It's like a big warehouse,
with a big warehouse,
almost like a big greenhouse where they're growing these things. They're all over the place. There's thousands of them.
So Matthew she's
and now they're
dead.
loading up a boat. So it's going to be global. Yeah, they're going everywhere. So unfortunately, Elizabeth's dead, and her pod person pops up She's naked because you're always naked when they pop up. Yeah. That's the scene where they shot it again with her wearing the dress for TV. Yeah. And then that other part.
She has some saggy boobage.
Yeah, that other part from the apartment where she was being assimilated. I think probably for TV they probably just cut that out. Yeah. Because these movies, and they would do that. They would, cut out certain parts. I hated that.
Oh, I hated the dubbing of dirty, like stick 'em up your poop chute.
Yeah, God.
That was the Fast Times at Ridgemont High line.
Oh, why would they even put that movie on a TV? Yeah. Or, there was a fun extra feature on the Scarface Blu-ray and DVD, just the TV version. Yeah. The amount of language they had to cut out. Why would you even bother putting it on TV?
Did they cut out or dub over?
Dubbed. Just dubbed over. Yeah.
But that's some of those are funny.
I remember.
Funny
especially
sometimes.
Like I remember, like Planet of the Apes. Before I was buying videotapes, buying a collection. Mm-hmm. I would record it off TV. Yeah. And I didn't realize, until I bought the tape, how much of they cut out. Oh, yeah. Like the big march through the Forbidden Zone at the beginning. It's all cut out. Mm-hmm. And a couple other parts too. Yeah. And, I just didn't realize at that time.
TV.
To fit, and they didn't put that little note at the beginning, right. Edited for time allotment or whatever.
Yeah.
So sometimes we would do that in school when they would show, like, Raiders of the Lost Ark or, I remember specifically Clash of the Titans. Yeah. They cut so much out when that was on. Oh, and we would be in school the next day talking like, oh, they cut out that part, they cut out that part, and... they left all the good money shots in, but there was so much other stuff they cut out. Oh. So I'm sure that's probably what they did. Because this is a 2-hour movie, and they usually wanted to fit in they would have a good 20 minutes of commercial, so they had to cut some stuff out.
That's why some of the movies were like 2-night events and stuff.
Some of the good ones were, where they didn't cut it.
Not always. It was rare to have a big two-night movie event, but,
Yep.
Yeah. But Matthew ends up going into that warehouse and he's going to just try to burn everything down.
Yay, go shit show. Cuts all the lights down, which causes explosions, causes fire. And he, by the skin of his ass, he gets out. Yeah. And he's able to hide, I think, under like a dock or a pier or something like that, and they don't find him.
And then they immediately cut to like the next day where he's...
Or time has passed. We don't know how much time.
Yeah, doesn't really say. But he's got new clothes on.
I think it has to be some time.
Okay, yeah. Because he's got new clothes on. He's marching into work.
Walking around, goes into that public... There's Elizabeth sitting there. Nobody's going about their normal stuff, but they're not talking. They're not...
so much for, it's better being this way, even Elizabeth is like kind of doing a test, but it's, she's sitting there like this, and when
why do anything?
Exactly, I know.
Why do anything?
Why continue? Because that's part of the assimilation, I guess.
Yes, just to keep doing what they do. So
carry on with your
He's walking down the street, and then I noticed why I say some time must have passed, because there's these weird alien-looking trees, or... I don't know what they're. They're very weird looking. It always strikes me.
That when they cut to that scene with him, time has passed and they cut to that. Mm-hmm. There was this movie is very well made. It does give you time to think. You know what I mean? Because there's a prolonged period where, like he said, he's going into work. Things look different,
and you're wondering: is it him? Is he? Is he faking it this whole time?
And you're listening to the environment, which is very quiet, and you're trying to determine like what's going on, and then you get right towards the end when who appears?
Nancy. And
which
you just hear Matthew. And she's been doing it. She's been hiding that whole time. I don't know how
she stayed awake. Insomniac.
She sees him, and he turns around, and she's showing a little bit of emotion, and we get the climactic scene.
Classic scene.
And points at her. And now, do you know the trick behind it, or what they did?
Let me know.
Well, they wanted to hide that ending. They didn't want anybody to know about this. So the script had where they gave each other just kind of like a little nod. Like they knew. And we knew they were both okay. Yeah. And that's how they thought the movie was going to end.
Okay.
The night before they're shooting that scene, they tell Donald Sutherland, "I ain't what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It's this ending. Okay. Don't tell anybody."
Yeah.
Because Veronica Cartwright thought that that's how the ending was going to be, and then he does that, and she just reacts to it.
Scared.
And she didn't know that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So, and even the and this is back when filmmakers had a little bit more freedom. They have, unless you're top notch, like a Quentin Tarantino or Michael Bay or Peter Jackson or somebody like that, or you're paying for your own movie like Mel Gibson does. Yeah. You don't have that power anymore. You're not given that freedom. You're given a script. This is the product. Do it. And back then, film was a little bit more experimental, and the executives didn't know. They had the same script. They didn't know that's how it was going to end. So they saw it. There was a screening. They screened it at George Lucas's ranch or whatever for the executives. I don't know why it was at George Lucas's place, but go figure. That's what
he had clout.
That's what I read, and and everybody liked it. It was a little bit downbeat, a little nihilistic in a way, but way better than them just giving each other a little nod.
And it's what do you think of when you hear Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
1978 one, Donald Sutherland going, "Oh!"
Yeah, I mean, 100%, man.
And so much better that way. Now, it might have been funny if Donald Sutherland had said, "I don't want to do that," because he was he was getting paid like a 3-figure salary for this movie, whereas all the other actors got $25,000, something like that. I was reading about it. But he got way more. He could have said, "No, I don't want to do that." But it's a better ending. It's a cooler ending.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he got to screw with her a little bit because she didn't know that's what he was going to do.
Oh, I'm sure that's
so. That was actually done on purpose like that.
Yeah.
And not many movies do that where actors aren't in the know. I mean, I know. Like Empire Strikes Back was like that. Nobody knew that Vader's the father and kind of stuff like that.
Right.
So, spoiler alert! Movie's
oh geez, you gave it away.
Old.
Yikes! No, that's what was good about the old movies, man. You can there were things like that in them. So it's great movie, man.
Mm-hmm. I like movies that end like that when it's got just that.
I'm glad we hit
downbeat kind of ending a little bit. Empire Strikes Back, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the one thing that
Alien.
Kind of a downer. It's like what we lost. We lost.
Even in something like Alien, you don't.
It's gone.
She blows the alien up, but she's meandering through space, and you don't know how that's going to end. And, it's kind of cool movies like that have that sort of ending to it.
Yeah, it's different.
And it's the end of the world, man. It's just that's what
Pretty
it was.
much.
It was the end of the world, and I dig all 4 versions. This one's my favorite.
Yeah,
but Body Snatchers is really good. Invasion is certainly watchable. I don't think it's bad at all. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers is classic, the 56 version. And I just think that whole idea, being overtaken and everything that makes us human, it's so frightening. I mean, Christ, what if something like that actually happened? How would you even combat it?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So... the 6 of you that are watching this, you can post below.
Let us know what you think. You don't say that at the very end. You say it at the beginning. See, we do everything half backwards.
That's why,
yeah.
Well, that's why we don't have 30 million subscribers and can afford a mansion in Beverly Hills with our YouTube money.
2 guys just sitting.
We're not doing Game Master videos and shit like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a video on how to make slime. Yeah.
Hey,
get 8 billion hits.
We would like to start talking about different movies, not just horror. So,
we won't ever run out, but
no, we're debating. I'm trying to figure out whether to, if you're even listening, whether to change.
Shoot us some suggestions.
Whether to change the name of the channel, whether to keep it the same, but just do different movies. Who the hell cares? Or start a... See, I don't want to start a new channel again. We
tried that. We tried that.
Dino and Ted show is still out there.
That was fun, though.
It was fun.
We did John Hughes and Valley Girl.
See, those should have been on this channel.
Yeah. So. Hit those up. Those are good shows. I love our Breakfast Club show.
That was good.
Yeah.
Check out the Dino and Ted show. We got maybe 4 or 5.
I think we did like 4 shows.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Did one all about music, 80s music.
Punk Eye Records. Yeah. Go check that out, too. But anyways, there you go, you guys. We talked Invasion of Body Snatchers, 1978. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Don't know what else to say. Check the links below.
Check it out.
Comments, all that good stuff. And until next week,
get snatched.
There you go.